hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some freaking money. It's time for Bucket with Jo. Good morning, everyone. Jo here of SportsGrid. It's time for Puckett with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X. I hope everyone's Sunday morning is starting off fantastic, and I hope you guys tailed that overtime bet between the Edmonton Oilers and the LA Kings. It was a beautiful overtime cash for us in that game. Now, we did have a couple other games go our way, so it was a great Saturday. Let's try to roll that momentum into the Sunday slate here. So we're going to kick it off, and we're going to go fast because I know NFL is kicking off at the top of the hour, so we want to make sure you can get all of these hockey bets in before you sit on your couch to watch these NFL games. We're going to start talking the NHL, though. Let's look at the Buffalo Sabres taking on the St. Louis Blues. Now, this is a later game. The first day game starts at 3:10 Eastern between these two teams. We have the Buffalo Sabres winning their last two games. They were able to get the win on Friday for us. The St. Louis Blues were able to get a win as well. So both of these teams coming out strong out of the break. Minus 115 for the Blues, minus 104 here for the Buffalo Sabres, and this total sitting at 5.5. I'm actually really surprised we're getting a 5.5 and not a 6.5 in this matchup. Minus 122 to the over 5.5. And that is where I'm going to go in this one. I'm expecting both of these teams to be able to light the lamp. We saw the Buffalo Sabres on Friday get the win over the Chicago Blackhawks. They had 6 goals in that game. Alex Tuch was able to get a hat trick. It was a beautiful game out of the Sabres. We know that they broke that losing streak before the break, beating the New York Islanders. And then when we look at the St. Louis Blues, they allowed those goals to the Predators. They still won those 7-4. So I do think defensively, both of these teams will allow some plays that you really are shaking your head, like what are they doing out there? And offensively, we're going to find success. Now, Binnington is expected in net for St. Louis, and we have seen Lankican confirmed here for the Buffalo Sabres. I'm expecting both of these goaltenders to be hit. Last two games, Buffalo's put up 11 goals, and like I said, that last game out, St. Louis was able to put up 7. Now, these teams did meet back on November 14th. 4-3 win there for the Buffalo Sabres at home in that matchup. This game did go to overtime. We saw Rasmus Dahlin with the overtime goal, clinching the win for the Sabres at home. The Sabres have struggled, though, in St. Louis. They've only won 2 of the 14. No, they've won 2 of the 16 meetings in St. Louis. So this has been a hard spot for them. I kind of worry St. Louis, if they're looking ahead to the Winter Classic on Tuesday versus the Chicago Blackhawks. So something to keep in mind here with the St. Louis Blues. I think the best way is not to take a side. I'm just going to take this one over the total of 5.5 minus 122. If you want to ult this one to over 6.5, I don't hate it. You're going to get plus money. I think this is a 4-3 style game that, again, happens in OT. Give me the overtime bet at plus 300 between these two. When we look at the last 10 meetings, 9 of those have gone over that total. The last 4 in St. Louis have gone over the total as well. Now, I'll take Tage Thompson for the anytime goal. For the Sabres, he has 17 on the season. And when you look at Jack Quinn has been strong as of late. He's been able to get at least 1 goal in 3 of his last 5 games. Alex Tuch, again, coming off that hat trick. And we know, looking at the St. Louis Blues, Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas is where I love to look. Jake Neighbors as well. So those are your playmakers for these teams. And I think you can really play around with those player props in this one because I'm expecting those goals to come in. Mark, let's get this freaking money today. Your Flyers are in action. We'll get to them in a little bit here. Timothy, happy Sunday afternoon, 10 a.m. my time. So it is noon somewhere, right? Rick, happy Sunday. Let's make some freaking money. Now, the Edmonton Oilers are taking on the Anaheim Ducks is the next game. Now, Edmonton, of course, off that loss last night, they're going to be frustrated that they lost that one in OT. That game opened up so crazily in that first period. Both teams got on the board. Both teams, I believe, scored 2 goals in the first period. I was shocked that it still finished a 4-3 game. I'm glad we didn't touch that over. with that matchup and just looked, or the over or the under, and just looked at that overtime as my best bet, because I expected defense to really lock down so much more. Now, when we're looking here at this matchup, we have the Edmonton Oilers coming in at minus 295 on the second night of back-to-back. The Anaheim Ducks on the second night of back-to-back too. They're at plus 235 here at home. Dahl still expected to get the start, who has been strong in goal. We got a total of 6.5. The 6.5 juice to that over at minus 132, and it's plus 108 to the under. Edmonton's won the last 7 meetings in or versus the Anaheim Ducks. So they have dominated this matchup. Connor Pickard, though, is expected tonight. And with the loss last night to the Kings, I really struggle to see Edmonton taking another loss here, but I do think this is a tighter game. I'm expecting Edmonton to roll in here, frustrated with themselves to the point where we see the over 1.5 hit in the first period, because Edmonton could get 2 of those goals. But I wouldn't be shocked if the Ducks score quick on Connor Pickard. We know he is not the best goaltender out there. And if the defense doesn't respect the Anaheim Ducks in this one, we could see that goal early by the Ducks. I think the Ducks end up having a lower scoring game here, but to start this game, I will take the over 1.5 and both teams to score in the first period. Both teams to score in the first period coming in at plus 152. The over 1.5 is juicy. It's minus 156. So maybe a parlay piece if you want to play around with something. But at the end of the day, I'm going to do something really simple that I normally really don't do. When I look at these matchups, I'm going to take Edmonton to win, parlay it with Leon Draisaitl for the anytime goal. Leon Draisaitl for the anytime goal coming in at plus 100, parlayed with the Edmonton Oilers straight up on that money line. When you parlay the two together, it's coming in at plus 137. You can play around with that if you think Connor McDavid is going to be that goal scorer tonight. You can look at him as well. Both of these guys coming in at plus 100. To get a goal tonight. It's funny though, because on FanDuel, I'm getting plus 137 when I parlay the same odds for Leon Draisaitl, and I'm getting plus 130 when I do it with Connor McDavid. So the books, kind of funny that way. I do think they get the win. I think Leon Draisaitl, he's just been so hot, will get on the board. Now, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has been strong on the road. He's been able to score a goal in 5 of the last 6 road games here for the Edmonton Oilers. So definitely someone you want to look at. For the Ducks, you guys know I go to Troy Terry to be able to get things done. I'm seeing 2 goals at most out of the Anaheim Ducks, so be very cautious with your prop bets for the Ducks. I think this is a 4-2 win here for the Edmonton Oilers, but the thing is, Edmonton on the puck line, minus 1.5, it's minus 118, so it's not enough value for me. I'd rather just look at Draisaitl and Edmonton to get the win parlayed together. Let's look at the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal pulling off that upset on Friday night over the Florida Panthers. I was shaking my head. What was Florida doing out there, you guys? That was a 4-0. They got the shutout win versus Florida. I still can't believe what I saw. They're coming in as almost a $2 underdog here on the road versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. And yes, the Tampa Bay Lightning are so strong, but you know what the problem is with this team? They take way too many freaking penalties. They spend half of their game, it feels like, in the box. They're averaging, 10 minutes per game in the box? But Montreal does the same. So both of these teams take a lot of penalties. Both of these teams, especially Tampa, so strong on that power play. But we've seen Montreal, Caulfield has been strong on that power play. He's also been very strong on the kill, able to score shorthanded out there this season. So I do think when we look here at the total, a total sitting at 6.5, minus 120 the over, it's the over in this game for me all day long. I expect a high scoring game. Now, Tampa, they are minus 245 on the money line. Minus 1.5 on the puck line is plus 102. The one thing about Tampa, they have covered and won their last 7 games as a favorite. So that puck line could be in play. But I think we've almost got an upset with what we saw out of Montreal in that last game. I think they can really push the Tampa Bay Lightning in this game. I'm willing to take a small sprinkle on Montreal as a $2 underdog straight up on the money line. A couple other ways you can go that are probably stronger bets out there. You guys know I love a dog, and I get fucking crazy over the dogs. I love to bet them. And in hockey, those upsets can come so often and early in these games. I do think in this first period, we see both teams to score. So both teams to score in the first period coming in at plus 150. Now, I could see it being a 2-1 first period here with the Tampa Bay Lightning getting up in that first period. If you want to look at it that way, that puck line for the Lightning in the first period, laying a half a goals plus 116. I'm just going to take both teams to score, but I wouldn't blame you if you looked at the puck line for the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first period. Kyle Caulfield, I'm going to look at for the power play point tonight for the Montreal Canadiens. Like I said, Tampa takes too many penalties, but Montreal does too. So Kyle Caulfield for the power play point coming in at plus 390. I'm then going to look here at Brandon Hagel for the power play point for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's coming in at plus 225. Braden Point's power play point at plus 230. And Nikita Kucherov's power play point at plus 134. Nikita Kucherov has been able to score the first goal in the last 2 games for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So if you love betting those first goal scorers, it's happened twice in a row. Can he do it 3 times? I'm not risking it, you guys, but I do think the power play point is in play. You're just not getting the most value with Nikita Kucherov there. And today, this game goes over that total, has an opportunity to go to overtime. So we saw Tampa win yesterday versus the New York Rangers, have to travel home. So they have had the travel as well as Montreal. Montreal, again, I still can't believe what we saw versus the Florida Panthers. Just a crazy one. Yeah, Rick, I do think this one can go to overtime. I'm really interested in this one. Draisaitl just got engaged. I love this stuff. You guys come with the best information, things that I have missed, and I appreciate you so much. Draisaitl getting engaged. Let's take him for 2+ points tonight, you guys. Let's go heavy on Draisaitl. Maybe Draisaitl could come out here and get a hat trick. It is the Anaheim Ducks, and while Ducks still has been strong, I love looking at these players on those big, monumental parts of their life. So that is fantastic news. Connor McDavid to score. Connor McDavid should be looking to come out nice and strong. Let's keep it rolling today, you guys. Happy Sunday to each and every one of you out there. Timothy liking a Toronto. So let's make some freaking money, you guys. Love seeing all of you in the chat here today. Florida went after our parties Friday night. Yeah. Montreal is the place definitely to go out and party. Looking at the Washington Capitals, Ovechkin back on the ice. We saw him yesterday. It was great to see him. He was able to get the empty netter in their win versus the Toronto Maple Leafs 5-2. Ovi is going to get back on track, you guys. I still have hopes that he's going to break Ovechkin or Wayne Gretzky's record. So look for Ovi to come out strong again today. His anytime goal coming in at plus 170 versus the Detroit Red Wings, who Alex Leon will be in net. Now, Alex Leon's 2-2 in 7 games with a goals against average of 2.94. and a 902 save percentage in his career versus the Capitals. He's had some games where he's just allowed these goals to pile in, and I do think the Washington Capitals hit him hard tonight. Charlie Lindgren is a net here for the Caps. Now, this Caps team has proven that they can score these goals and score these goals at will. Sitting second in the Metro, I'm going to play it easy in this one, you guys. I'm going to look at their team total. Over 3.5 goals here for the Washington Capitals coming in at plus 124. They have dominated in Detroit, winning 7 of the last 9 meetings, and I think they come out and get a nice big win. Now, you can also, the Red Wings fired their coach. They lost that first game after the firing. They fired their coach on Boxing Day, and Canadian Boxing Day, so the day after Christmas. It's just not a good move. They've lost their last 4 games, and they've also not covered the puck line in those last 4, so they're not even playing in tight games. I just can't see, even with the Capitals on the second night of a back-to-back, and the Red Wings having the rest advantage, having played Toronto on Friday, that they're going to be able to put up those goals on Charlie Lindgren. The Red Wings team total is coming in at 2.5, the under at plus 106. So I'm going to take them under for their team total of 2.5 at plus 106. I'm also going to take the Capitals over 3.5 at plus 124. I think this is a 4-2 game at most here. The Red Wings probably only 1 goal. Could Charlie Lindgren get the shutout? He absolutely could. I just have no faith in the Red Wings right now. They're going to have to get out on the road. They're going to have to shake things up. The under has been a huge trend between these two in Detroit. 4-1 to the under in the last 5 meetings in Detroit. And the Capitals have dominated overall as well as in Detroit. I let you know it was 7-2 in the last 9 meetings in Detroit, but the Capitals are also 5-6 in the last 21 meetings overall. The one player who's really stood out and stepped up versus the Capitals is Alex DeBrincat. So if you want to look at Alex DeBrincat, he scored at least 1 goal in 7 of the last 8 versus the Capitals. So that's where you'd look for the Red Wings. I'm going to look at Ovi here for the Caps. I just think he continues to roll hot. He's definitely on a mission. Yeah, I know. Calgary probably has a really bad loss to Vegas today. Let's look at the Islanders. The Islanders taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. We're going to play around with this one a little bit. The Pittsburgh Penguins coming in at plus 102. The New York Islanders at minus 122, total of 6.5. Minus 124 to the under 6.5, plus 102 to the over. These two teams played last night in New York. We saw the Islanders win 6-3. That first period, I like the Penguins to get the win in the first period. Both teams did score in the first period. It was a 1-1 first period. I think in this one, we see the Islanders struggle. They have lost 5 of their last 6 first periods in Pittsburgh. So we have seen that first period start off slow. We expected them to start off slow yesterday. They were able to get that goal. I'm counting on Pittsburgh at home here with the last change to have a dominant first period. I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first period off of that loss yesterday. And we saw those teams like Boston and the Devils. Boston got the win yesterday, and the Devils took the loss versus the Canes. These teams off that second night of a back-to-back playing the same team, we saw that other team bounce back. I think the Penguins bounced back in this first period. I will take their money line at minus 106 because they are the dog here at home. You could look at a reverse puck line laying half a goal here for the Penguins as well. I like that. I think it is a 1-0 first period. Anthony Dunclair has been strong versus the Penguins in his career, though, for the New York Islanders. He scored a goal in 4 of the last 5 versus the Penguins. I would look at Sidney Crosby and Malkin here, out here for the Penguins. And we've seen the Islanders lose their last 6 as a road favorite. That's the situation they're in with the win last night. They're now a road favorite. I'd fade the Islanders. Just let's do the first period. The Ottawa Senators taking on the Minnesota Wild. I'm kind of feeling like we might see the upset here with the Ottawa Senators. They're coming in at plus 128, minus 154 for the Minnesota Wild. It's just too much juice there on the money line. We got a total of 5.5. Now it's minus 130 to the over. I do think this one goes over the total because I trust in the Ottawa Senators to go over their team total. And we know the Wild have those playmakers, Kaprizov, Matt Boldy. We've got so many strong players, Ryan Hartman as well, that have been able to light the lamp as of late. So I'm looking at this one for the Ottawa Senators team total over 2.5. You're going to have to lay the juice at minus 122. It is Gustafsson expected here, but you look at the power play here for the Ottawa Senators, it's converting at 24.6%. They're going to have to give Levy all of the defensive support that they can in this matchup because he's so green out there on the ice. I do think the Wild will hit him. Kaprizov, I would definitely look at for that anytime goal. The Wild have won their last 7 meetings at home versus the Ottawa Senators, so something to look at. Kaprizov, the problem is, though, he is day-to-day. So if it's not Kaprizov, if he's not out on the ice, I'm going to look at Ryan Hartman. I think the value on Ryan Hartman for the anytime goal is there. But for the Ottawa Senators, probably what I'm liking the best is just looking at their team total over 2.5 and then looking at Brady Tkachuk. I like Brady Tkachuk to come out and get that goal. He's coming in at plus 185 for the anytime goal today. The Calgary Flames are facing up versus the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, this is an interesting one, you guys. We saw Calgary get the win yesterday with Dustin Wolf in net. It was a fantastic win versus the San Jose Sharks. They were able to cover the puck line 3-1. We did get Celebrini for the anytime goal, but in this one, we got Dan Vladar in for Calgary. He doesn't give me the same reassurance that Dustin Wolf does, but we have Samsonov here for the Vegas Golden Knights. This, Timothy, I know that you talked about Calgary is going to get spanked today versus Vegas, and they absolutely should. But how is Samsonov going to show up is my biggest question mark. Samsonov is 3-0 in 10 games with a goals against average of 309 and a save percentage of 890 in his last 10 games in his careers versus Calgary. So we have seen those struggles for Samsonov. And I think Calgary should be able to come out and get those goals on him. Now, Calgary has won their last 2 games. Last night, they got the win over the Sharks. We've seen Vegas win their last 5. They beat the Sharks on Friday 6-3. They were able to rack up those goals. They were out there on the road, and now they are at home in the Fortress. We know how hard this is for a team to come in. The Vegas Golden Knights have covered that puck line in their last 8 games at home versus the Pacific. So Calgary sitting 5th in the Pacific. Vegas, of course, right on top of the Pacific. Calgary struggled as well in Vegas 2 wins in their last 12 meetings in Vegas. So it's all setting up for a big loss here for Calgary. What I really want to do here is Calgary's such a dog in this one. Looking at those lines, Calgary's plus 176, and we have seen movement. They were a plus 250 underdog just yesterday. Vegas is coming in at minus 215. We got a total of 6.5. I want to see Vegas go up in the first period. I think the first period goes over 1.5 goals. That's coming in at minus 140. I do think both teams can score because I think Calgary scores on Samsonov. That's coming in at plus 160. But ultimately, I want Vegas to score first. If Vegas can score first, then I can come back in on the Calgary Flames plus 1.5 more value, because right now the plus 1.5 on Calgary is coming in at minus 142. I don't want to lay that kind of juice on Calgary to keep it tight. If we can see Vegas go up 2-0 in that first period, or even more so, I'm going to come back in on Calgary plus the 2.5 if they're giving us that. If they're giving us plus 2.5, I'd lay up to minus 120 juice. If they're giving us plus 1.5, I want plus money on that. Plus 1.5, I want it plus 110 or better for the Calgary Flames, because it is a long shot. Vegas is such a dominant team out there that they should be able to get a nice big home win. The under has been the trend, though, between these two. So can we see a 3-2 game here with Calgary hitting Samsonov? We absolutely could. So I think the first period opens up, and then we see that lockdown here for both of these teams. So maybe an upset, but give me both teams to score in the first period as my best bet at plus 160. Also give me Calgary live bet if they go down by a couple goals in this one. That puck line, I want the better value. The Dallas Stars versus the Chicago Blackhawks. Chicago will have the Winter Classic coming up versus the St. Louis Blues. They're sitting 8th in the Central. They're at home. Peter Mrazek getting the start for them. Jake Ottinger and the Dallas Stars rolling into town off a loss to the Minnesota Wild in OT. Frustrating loss for this team. They're sitting 4th in the Central. They're now taking on the last team in the Central. They haven't covered the puck line, though, on the road. In their last 6, this team has been struggling out there to get those big wins. We're looking at them at minus 245 on the money line, minus 1.5 on that puck line if you think they're going to break that puck line losing streak, coming in at plus 106. The Chicago Blackhawks plus 1.5, it's juiced at minus 130. Total of 5.5 in this game, minus 132 to the over. I'm going to play it not safe because there's no safe way to bet a game. I don't think the Blackhawks have success scoring on Jake Ottinger. The Blackhawks team total under 2.5 is coming in at minus 140. And I do think they will struggle to score in this one. Now, they did win the last meeting just on November 27th. So over a month ago, you guys, it was a 6-2 win for Chicago. So you look at that and you go, well, they put up 6 goals, but I think the Stars in this one have to lock down defensively. They know it, and what they were able to do to the Wild, I just can't see Chicago bringing that same ability to get those shots on Jake Ottinger in this one. So I'll take the Blackhawks team total under 2.5 at minus 140. Yes, it's grossly juiced. They have won their last 4 first periods at home versus the Central Division. So if you buy into that and want to play it, I just don't trust them enough in this matchup. This team has lost their last 3. They're off that loss to the Buffalo Sabres, in which they put up only 2 goals, allowed 6 to come in. And then last but not least, the Philadelphia Flyers taking on the LA Kings. Now, the LA Kings off that overtime game last night versus the Edmonton Oilers. We've got the Flyers off the win last night to the Anaheim Ducks. That was a 3-1 win for them. Now, they've lost their last 6 games as a dog, and they're coming into this one as a dog at plus 130. We got minus 156 here for the LA Kings. Total of 5.5. Interested in this total. The total of 5.5, I think, is just too low. Minus 120 to the over. But I think you should just isolate the Kings team total. I trust this Kings team to be able to get up and get up fast and get those goals. The Kings team total at 3.5 plus 110 to the over. I know they like to lock down in some of these games and play defensive hockey, but I just don't trust the goaltending tonight for the Philadelphia Flyers. And I do think the Kings will put 4 goals on them in this one. Now, David Rittich will be in net tonight for the LA Kings, and they won the last matchup here 7-3 back on December 19th. So the Kings have a recent win. And I know we look at that team looking to bounce back and really come out strong versus a team they lost to in their last one, but I'm just not seeing it in this one. I think the Kings, with playing Edmonton last night, will come out on the ice and go up fast. You can look at the first period puck line minus half a goal at plus 146. They're just not going to get the same resistance here that they did from Edmonton in that game last night. So 4-1, 4-0, 4-3 game isn't out of question, though, because we look at the LA Kings. The LA Kings, off of overtime, have failed to cover that puck line in their last 6 games. So that's why I'm staying off that puck line bet here for the LA Kings, but I will look at them to just get over 3.5 goals. Yeah, Chicago has won versus Dallas, and that's the scary thing. You look at the Chicago Blackhawks and how they have played versus Dallas, and it's not good. Kaprizov is still listed as a day-to-day there, Larry. So, Timothy, if you want to just take Chicago to pull off the upset, it's great plus money. I think it could be another live betting situation. Yeah, Gustafsson versus his former team. That is a very good angle as well. Let's get this freaking money. You're going to lay 2.5 with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I wish you all the best in that bet. Chicago money line. Yeah, you guys, you're going to talk me into betting the Chicago Blackhawks. That terrifies me. Betting the Chicago Blackhawks, that is for sure. We'll look at those favorite players for sure, Mo, as soon as we do this recap. Let's get to this recap. We're at the 26-minute mark. We got football kicking off at the top of the hour. The hockey slate starts at 3 o'clock Eastern, just after 3 o'clock Eastern. It will start with the Buffalo Sabres taking on the St. Louis Blues. So let's roll through best bets in these games. Give me the over 5.5 between the Sabres and the Blues at minus 122. I think you could even oat this up to over 6.5. I'm expecting overtime between these two at plus 300. I will put that bet in. I'm expecting a 4-3 game, just like we saw on November 14th between these two. Sabres have struggled in St. Louis. I won't be surprised if the St. Louis Blues get the win, but I just don't want to play them here with the look ahead to the Winter Classic. Now, Tage Thompson, I will look at for the anytime goal here for the Sabres. I think you can look at Jack Quinn and Alex Tuck as well to have success, maybe parlaying the 3 of them for their points. You could look at Robert Thomas and Kyrou here and Jake Neighbors for the St. Louis Blues. The Edmonton Oilers versus the Anaheim Ducks. I'm looking for both teams to score in the first period. That coming in at plus 152. You can look at the over 1.5 in the first period, but that is too juicy at minus 156. Simple way to bet this game, and the way I'm going to bet it is looking at Leon Draisaitl for the goal, parlayed with the Edmonton Oilers for the win. That's coming in at plus 137. You guys threw out there Draisaitl just got engaged. I will look at Draisaitl for 2+ points, 3+ points in this game. I think he absolutely goes off. Love that you guys pointed that out. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has been strong on the road as well. If you're looking at someone else to come alive for Edmonton, and Connor McDavid will be upset off of that loss. The Ducks, I just look at Troy Terry. Montreal versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. I do think Montreal is worth a look here on the money line after what they were able to do to the Florida Panthers. Tampa, though, has been strong as a favorite, being able to win and cover that puck line in their last 7. I'm going to look at both teams to score in the first period at plus 150. Tampa takes too many penalties, and the power play here for Montreal is strong enough to be able to score on them. Now, if you like that recency of the goal scorers here, Nikita Kucherov has scored the first goal in the last 2 games here for the Tampa Bay Lightning, so something to look at. I like him for the power play point at plus 134. I also like Brandon Point at plus 230 and Brandon Hagel for the power play point at plus 225. So all 3 of those guys, power play point, definitely worth a look in an over style game. Call Caulfield for the power play point for Montreal at plus 390. The Washington Capitals versus the Detroit Red Wings. Alex Leon, I don't have faith in. I do think Ovi is able to score on him. That coming in at plus 170. The Capitals team total over 3.5 at plus 124. The Red Wings team total under 2.5 at plus 106. Alex DeBrincat has had success versus the Capitals, though. If you're looking for a player for the Red Wings, he's scored in 7 of the last 8 meetings. Capitals have been so strong in Detroit. I think they get the win. And just terribly weak kill here for the Red Wings. So if you're looking at power play points, definitely look at the Washington Capitals for their power play points. Not a team that's really known for converting. It's only 22.3% on the power play, but I do think they will convert against a team that has one of the worst kills in the whole league. The New York Islanders versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. Give me the Penguins to get up in the first period. The money line at minus 106 for the Penguins. These teams played yesterday. The Penguins will want that sudden revenge on their home ice. They will come out guns a-blazing in the first period. Reverse puck line laying a half a goal is coming in at great plus money if you can get that on your book as well. The Ottawa Senators versus the Minnesota Wild. I do think the Ottawa Senators go over 2.5 goals, and that's coming in at minus 122. Brady Tkachuk at plus 185 for the anytime goal. Kaprizov still listed as day-to-day. Look at Matt Boldy and Ryan Hartman to come out strong, especially if Kaprizov is off the ice. The Wild have won the last 7 meetings at home versus the Senators. But I just think the Senators, how they're playing, how their power play is converting, should be able to come out nice and strong and get 3 goals in this one. The Calgary Flames versus the Vegas Golden Knights. Let's keep it simple. Over 1.5 goals in the first period, minus 140. I don't trust Samsonov, but I don't trust Dan Vladar either. Both teams to score at plus 160. Trends to the under between these teams. Strong trends to Vegas, especially against the Pacific, winning and covering the puck line in their last 8. The home team between these two teams has gone 17-5 in the last 22. So Vegas should be able to get the win. I want to live bet Calgary if they go down 2-0 in that first period. Hopefully they can come back, get a goal in the first period. But before they do, I want to live bet Calgary plus 1.5 or plus 2.5, depending on what number we're getting. Now, the Dallas Stars versus the Chicago Blackhawks. Jake Ottinger, Peter Mrazek here in net. I'm going to look at the Blackhawks team total. I know it's dangerous with how they have played the Dallas Stars, but I just can't see them getting a win if it's a high-scoring game. So could the Chicago Blackhawks win this 2-1? Absolutely, they could. If their defense can come in and lock down the Dallas Stars, especially with their success they've had, I just can't see them winning this in a 4-3 style game. I think Chicago stays under the 2.5 goals. That's coming in at minus 140. Probably at least favorite game of the whole day. They have won the first period in the last 4 versus the Central. So something you could look at. We have seen the Stars unable to cover that puck line in their last 6 road games. So if you just want to look at Chicago plus 1.5, I don't blame you because it could come into play tonight. And the Philadelphia Flyers taking on the LA Kings. I'm keeping it simple. I'm looking for the Kings to be able to score in this one. Give me the over 3.5 goals here for the LA Kings at plus 110. Give me the Kings first period puck line off of that win versus Edmonton last night to come out strong in that first period. Get a goal here on the Flyers, and then they could just try to hold on to their lead. So the first period puck line actually is my favorite bet of this game. That's coming in at plus 146 as well, getting us that plus money. We know the Kings like to lock down. Kempe and Kopitar, again, parlaying them tonight for their points to come in nice and strong. The Flyers have lost their last 6 games as a dog. I just don't trust them here against a hot Kings team that's playing excellent hockey. They did beat them in the middle of December, 7-3 as well. But this team off of overtime has struggled to cover that puck line in their last 6, unable to do so. So that is where I'm going. Yeah, Dallas doesn't get up for the bottom feeders. If you guys are brave enough, like I said, this is my least favorite game of the day because Dallas should be so strong. Coming out off the loss to the Wild, if they'd beat the Wild on Friday and hadn't lost in overtime, I would be all over Chicago in this one. My problem is they came out of the break, took the L, and now they're facing Chicago. I think they get up for Chicago because they couldn't take that L. They needed that win, and the Wild were a team that they beat in the previous meeting. So I'm looking at them to come out nice and strong in this one. Yeah, puck it. Let's puck that game, you guys. I tell you, I don't love it. If you guys are betting Chicago, I wish you all the freaking best with that. I freaking love the Dogs. I know. So it's hard for me not to take Chicago. I just don't have a good feeling. So, okay, Sonderblom is coming into net tonight. Okay. Sonderblom scares me. I don't know, you guys. I hate that game. I really do. Let's look at some players. Let's look at some player props, and then let's watch some freaking football. Hockey doesn't start till 3. Let's look at the Buffalo Sabres first, taking on, and we're just going to build a same game parlay. I'm not going to take the goals. I never do in the same game parlays, or not the same game parlays, the long shot parlays. I would take these players for the goals, though. That's where I'm looking, these players to be able to come out and get the goals. I love Rasmus Dahlin to come out nice and strong for the Buffalo Sabres today. Rasmus Dahlin was able to score the overtime goal in the last matchup between these two. I think he's highly impactful for his point tonight's coming in at minus 128. Tage Thompson you could look at as well, and Robert Thomas, but I'm just going to stick with one player in this game at Rasmus Dahlin. We're then going to move on to the Edmonton Oilers game. Leon Draisaitl for a point tonight is minus 530. We can't do that, but I will look at Leon Draisaitl for 2 points. I think with that engagement, 2 points coming in at minus 111, I will throw that into the parlay here. I'm just going to remove a couple things out of my book right now. Okay. So we got those two coming in. The Washington Capitals, we're going back to Ovi. I do think Ovi comes out and is able to get a point tonight. He's coming in at minus 162. The Montreal Canadiens and the Tampa Bay Lightning, I think we have lots of opportunities of players to look at in this high-scoring game. Nikita Kucherov, you can't even throw in there. He's minus 650 for a point tonight. I do think Brandon Hagel is worth a look, but again, way too juiced out there. You guys, this is a hard one. Cole Caulfield at minus 120. I do think he gets the point. I'm looking at him for the power play point tonight, but the point minus 120. I'm going to stay off all of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Victor Hedman, maybe you could look at minus 180. Everyone is so highly juiced for the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's just not worth throwing into our parlay. It will move it a couple dollars to the positive, but I just don't love it. The Islanders versus the Penguins. Looking at their points here, Anders Lee is minus 108. He's actually a really interesting look to be able to get a point. Brock Nelson at plus 108. Michael Bunting at plus 108. I want to look at Anthony Dunclair because of his success versus the Penguins in his career. So I'm going to throw Anthony Dunclair in there. And then I'm going to actually look at Raquel as well here for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So Anthony Dunclair for the Islanders, Raquel for the Penguins. I will put in for their points. The Senators versus the Wild. I'm going to stay off this. I do think it's Matthew Tkachuk. Calgary versus Vegas. These teams trend to the under. I will stay off that. I'm going to stay off Dallas and Chicago as well. I'm going to look here at the LA Kings. We got to look at Kempe and Kopitar. That line is locked, so we're not going to do it. All the lines, all the players' points are locked for the LA Kings game right now. So we have at the current time, we don't want the same game parlay. We just want a long shot parlay here. Are they giving it to us? Why? I've got 6 bets in my bet slip. They're not giving me straight bets. I want the parlay, you guys. Interesting. They're not giving me a parlay right now. Round robining at 2x14s, they are giving me odds. So this is what I would put in, you guys. I don't know why FanDuel's not giving me the odds on this. If you want to go over and build the parlay yourself, I'm taking Rasmus Dahlin for a point here for the Buffalo Sabres, Leon Draisaitl for 2+ points for the Edmonton Oilers, Alex Ovechkin for the point for the Washington Capitals, Cole Caulfield for the point for the Montreal Canadiens, Anthony Dunclair for the point for the Islanders, and Raquel for the point for the Penguins. So those are the 6 legs you can look at round robining it. I would look at just parlaying it all together for a nice long shot out there. If you want to look here at just Anthony Dunclair and Raquel for a point in the same game parlay, that's coming in at plus 162 between the Islanders and the Penguins. So they will give me that right now on FanDuel. Sort of weird. They're not giving me that parlay. I wonder if it's because I have Leon Draisaitl for 2+ points. Taking him out, yeah. Leon Draisaitl, they will not allow me to throw in. So if we just do a 5-leg parlay without Leon Draisaitl, if your book will allow you to put him in, look at him for the 2+ points, but a $10 wager on those 5 legs comes in at 180-142 for your return. So that is Anthony Dunclair for the point, Raquel for the point. So that is the Islanders and the Penguins game. Rasmus Dahlin for the Sabres for the point, Alex Ovechkin for the Capitals, Cole Caulfield for the Montreal Canadiens. I think it's a great way to go. $10, 181.42. You guys, all the best in all of your bets. I hope you make some freaking money out there on the ice. Make sure. Oh, I like that. You're going to go Oilers, Capitals, Knights, and Kings plus 415 on FanDuel. Best NFL pick. Oh my God. There's some really ugly games out there in the NFL, right? So I'm going to be doing my cup of Joe. My Madden Quickie is up on the SportsGrid app. So make sure you go over and check that out. Today is all about the running backs. Jonathan Taylor to just go fricking off for the Colts against the Giants that have one of the worst run defenses out there on the league. Saquon Barkley should feast on the ground here for the Eagles. My thing is, though, I'm thinking AJ Brown's going to get a couple looks from Kenny Pickett. He's had extra time working out there on the field, knowing Hurts is going to be out of the lineup. So that might surprise us with what he's able to do, getting that ball to AJ Brown. So looking at those angles, but I do think this is a day about Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley. I want Saquon Barkley's numbers 111 though and a half for his rushing yards. So I'm kind of a little bit concerned with that one. Who else am I liking? Oh, the Raiders. Brock Bowers to come out nice and strong. This Raiders team wants to win, even though it's killing their draft opportunities. They're playing the Saints. Spencer Rattler, just terrible. I thought Spencer Rattler was going to be able to do something in the last game. I also think today is about the defensive touchdowns. If you guys don't know, if you haven't caught me over on the grid for in-game live, those defensive touchdowns are major things that I look into each and every week. You look at the quarterbacks out there in these early games, they're going to throw those interceptions. As soon as you see the books putting an interception prop at like minus 188, you guys always look at that defensive touchdown. We've been able to cash it so much this season. Also, if that prop is minus 188 to start the game, live betting those interceptions is something we've been doing on in-game live on the grid, and we've been getting more value as the game goes on. If they go into the second half without throwing that interception, you know it's coming, right? Like Cooper Rush is going to throw an interception. Kenny Pickett's going to throw an interception. They're juiced to start. As the game goes on, you're getting plus money. So watch those live lines as well. Can't stress it enough about how great live betting is. Join myself, Scott Wetzel, and Adam Kaufman on the grid today. We will be live 4:30 to 8 o'clock Eastern. You guys, I appreciate each and every one of you. Let's make some freaking money. You guys, I will see you back here tomorrow. Noon Eastern. I can't believe it's December 29th. Let me know what you're doing for New Year's this year. I really would like to just stay on my couch. I don't know if I'm going to, but seems like a great way to spend ringing the new year on the couch, just relaxing. I'm tired this year. You guys, all the best in all of your bets. See you here tomorrow, noon Eastern. Hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies.